Hey everybody, Melissa here. So my husband asked me for help because he was having trouble getting calculations to work in his pivot tables. Well, when I sat down with him to see what he was doing, he was going into his pivot table, selecting a cell, and putting a formula or function in there. Well, sometimes he wouldn't get an answer at all, and if he did, every row within the pivot table had the same one. Now, we can't really do formulas and functions that way in a pivot table because the data that's in there, it actually doesn't exist. Now, before you turn off the video and go screaming, "Oh my Lord, she's lost her mind. She don't know what she's talking about. She's crazy." Let me explain. When we pull data into a pivot table, we are actually doing a report or a query on data that resides somewhere else. That's why a regular formula or function into a cell will not work. However, there is a way that we can do calculations through the pivot table analysis tools, and that's what I'm going to show you today. I cannot wait to show you how this works, so let's go ahead and get started. So I've already got our pivot table set up. We have our filters, columns, rows, and values. Now this is technical data for virtual machines or computers. And let's just say that I want to find the sum of consumed megabytes in gigabytes and terabytes. Now in the introduction, I said we couldn't do this the way we would normally do formulas and functions because it won't work correctly. So let me show you what happens when we try. I'm going to go to column D6. I'm going to do equals the consumed megabytes divided by 1024, which is the calculation we use to find our gigabytes. And I'm going to hit enter. Now for 30,407, this is the correct gigabytes. If we go to drag it down to other fields, look, it is exactly the same, and that is not correct because we have different megabytes. So how we want to do this is by using our pivot table analysis tools. So we're going to click back inside our pivot table. Anywhere is fine. Go up to Pivot Table Analyze. Go over to Fields, Items, and Sets, and Calculated Field. Now this box pops up, and our field name is going to be what we want this column header to be. So instead of Field 2, I'm going to name this one Consumed Terabytes. Actually, we're doing gigabytes first, so consumed gigabytes. Now in our formula, we want to take that 0 out, so I'm just going to back it out. And equals is going to be our consumed megabytes. So let's find that in our list and insert the field. So now we have equals consumed megabytes divided by our 1024. And we're going to tell it, okay. Now look here, sum of consumed gigabytes. Now, if you remember when we did the formula and function before, it was 29 point something. Well, this is rounding up. So what we want to do is right click, format our cells, make it a number, and then tell it how many decimal places you want to see. Let's just tell this one 4. And now we have our 29.6943. Now let's say we want to do the same thing in terabytes. So we'll go back to one of our fields in our pivot table Analyze, Fields, Items, and Sets, Calculated Field. And we want this column name to be, let's just name it Consumed Terabytes. Go down to our field. I'm going to take that 0 out. I'm going to find again my consumed megabytes. Insert, there we have it, and this time I'm going to divide it by 1048576 because that is the calculation to find terabytes. Tell it OK, and here is our sum of consumed terabytes. Now you can look at this and go, it didn't work because it's all zeros. Well, it actually did work. If we go and select the column, we format the cells, we go to number, take it out 4 decimal places, tell it OK. There's our terabytes. 0.0290.0258. And just like with any other data in your pivot table, if you update it on your raw data sheet, it will automatically update all of this data. Now let's just say we want to remove these. Let's go here, right click, delete. Oh, we can't do that because we're in a pivot table. If we select sum of consumed terabytes, right click, remove. Sum of consumed gigabytes, right click, remove. Then we're back to our original pivot table. And there you have it. Now you know how to use your pivot table analysis tools so that any calculations that you do are accurate. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Drop me a comment if you have any questions, feedback, or ideas for future tutorials, and be sure to click that subscribe button before you leave, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Until then, thanks so much for watching.